Welcome everyone to VLAMP, Video Lighting, Audio, Music, and Photography How-To Show. I am, of course, your host, Matt Haslam. Now tonight we are going live to answer all of your questions in the video lighting, audio, music, and photography subject matters, as well as graphic design. If you have a question in that, please do leave those comments in the live chat on this live broadcast. We will answer those questions live tonight as we go through. Whether you're on mobile device and it's below, or if you're on a desktop computer and it's, I think, there, or I don't, whichever is right to you. But please do leave those comments and we will answer them live. And we have all the questions that you've submitted over the past month here. Now, normally on our show, we have a daily video every single day at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have a brand new video coming out every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we also have our monthly live streams, which mostly come out on the first Monday of the month. But here's the thing. Tomorrow night is the first Monday of the month, and we actually have a business meeting tomorrow night. So I can't be here going live like I would just upload a regular episode. I actually have to be here and actually go live to answer all your questions. So this is not pre-recorded, and so it isn't scripted, but we do have all your questions from the previous month that we will be answering during the broadcast here tonight. But like I said, if you have any questions, please do leave them in the live chat, and we'll get to them as well. There won't be a huge graphic for them like there will be in most of the other questions, but we will definitely get to those questions and answer them. So our first question today comes in from Magnum Media from YouTube. And it's just a general comment on our channel. And it says, "Dude, I want you to win. Found you through tripod recommendation from 2015. He's referring to the Magnus Beatty 3000 video tripod product review. And that, if I can get this adjusted here. I'm sorry, people. We're not as prepared as we thought we were. Yeah, I thought All right. Well, I'm trying to focus the camera. I'm sorry. Anyway, so the Magnus Beatty 3000 video tripod product review was way back in 2015. That was, I believe, season 2 or season 2 of the show, and it basically went through what we thought about the Magnus Beatty 3000, and it was actually really good tripod. I still use it today, and I really am happy that people are still finding me through that. I'm not sure what you mean by "dude, I want you to win," because I don't know what I'm winning or even shooting for. But he goes on to say, "I respect the everyday post, but I don't get good content from them. They feel like placeholders. Have you looked up YouTube SEO? Have you worked on your IG Twitter growth?" It means Instagram and Twitter growth. "That intro vid on your other channel is dope. If you would walk me through that, I would love that. Good luck, man. Just a humble guy who wants to help." All right, so I'm going to take this one semi-question at a time because there's a lot of questions in there. So basically we started the everyday post at 10:30 a.m. because of YouTube's new algorithm. So a lot of YouTubers are moving towards this way of doing things now, where basically you have one main channel video every week. And if you have been watching the show for a little bit, you know the daily videos are excerpts from the main videos. So like in our main Monday episode, you're going to see a video of like 20 new film terms that you need to know, or 20 new terms you need to know in the entertainment industry. And then our daily post is one term from all of those videos. So in the end, you're going to have, I think it's 240 or 250 some terms, which we're going to go through in the course of 11 episodes. But we decided, because of YouTube's algorithm, we need to put out a video every single day. And in order to do that, we needed content. And we don't have the time. Like back in season 2, we came out with a 15 to 20-minute video every day, but then that was all we were doing. We literally didn't do anything else in our entire business. And when you're trying to run a business plus a YouTube channel, and actually a couple of YouTube channels that we're running right now, it's so difficult. And so you just don't have time for the business. And the business is the thing that makes the money so that the YouTube channel can be a thing and so I can survive. So that was more important, and that's why we cut back and only started to do, I think, 2 episodes a week. And eventually I just said, enough's enough, and I stopped season 2 completely. And we just went from there. And then season 3 started up, and it was a 10 or 11 episode series. That was it. Then we moved on to season 4, which was only a couple episodes. Season 5 now has lasted over half of a year, which is really good. I think that's the longest a season has run. Next year's season is going to be, I hope, all year long. We might take a break or two, but I believe it's all year long. But the growth of a YouTube channel nowadays, because of YouTube's new algorithm, depends on daily content. Basically, YouTube had this system where vloggers and a whole bunch of other people weren't succeeding and weren't getting the kind of growth that they should have, because YouTube recommended other videos which were very much more content oriented, and a lot more time and effort went into making them, such as channels like Vsauce, which, it takes them like a month to make an episode because they're so, so well researched. And then you had channels like Good Mythical Morning, which airs every weekday normally, but they have an entire huge team behind them. And so vloggers weren't doing as well. And so YouTube made this new algorithm which said, well, basically vloggers are going to do better, but unfortunately it cut back on the growth of content creators who only made 1 episode a week, such as Thatcher Joe, Casper Lee. A lot of YouTubers were in that mix where they only made 1 video a week, and they weren't growing as fast because of this new algorithm that YouTube has for trying to help out vloggers. And so YouTube basically said, the more content you give us, the more we're going to recommend your channel. And the more, and what's weird about the algorithm is it doesn't necessarily mean that the more views you have per video or something like that, the better your channel does. It just matters that there's content there, which is really weird. And so I talked to some of my YouTube friends, and it matters how many comments you have on videos and how many likes and stuff, but it doesn't matter the view count anymore as much as it used to. And so now you can have videos which are going viral, but the channel doesn't grow because it's not regularly uploaded on. It's not daily going viral. So basically we did this whole system now where in season 5, we started out with just 1 episode a week, and then my friend Chris Krasnowski, who you guys know, recommended a program that I can go live with for live streams. And so I decided to record my screen and do a couple episodes that way. And now we're going live once a month to answer all of your questions, because back in the day we used to do a weekly Q&A session, and to tell you the truth, there weren't that many questions to put on the show back then. Now there's enough to fill a 1-hour show a month, but we were trying to fill a 20-minute episode every week, and that's difficult to do. So basically we moved to this system where now we have daily content, and I know for some people it isn't the best, but I always say, like, if you want to learn the stuff that we have on the channel, um, the weekly episodes are going to teach you that. There's going to be 20 terms in the film industry every week for the next, I think we're in the fourth or fifth week right now, but it's going to be this thing for the rest of the year. The rest of the season is going to be a weekly episode of 20 terms every week. So you're going to actually have all the terms by Christmas, but because we're separating each and every term, you're going to have daily videos already uploaded and already scheduled to the channel until the end of April. And so it, here's where basically I say to you guys as viewers of the channel, as subscribers, really, if you watch the weekly episodes, you're going to get all that great content as you want it. If you want to just learn one term, then these daily videos are going to help with that as well. For someone who, these daily videos are mostly for new people who find this YouTube channel and want to learn just one thing. So we want all this content to be out there eventually, a year or two from now, this content is all going to be out there. And if someone researches, well, what does clapboard mean? What does platypus mean? You know, if they search for one of these terms, they're going to find one of our 240, 250 videos, and they're going to be able to click on that and then hopefully subscribe so they can watch our regular episodes. So don't think of these daily videos as videos for our current subscribers. They're mostly videos to gain new subscribers, whether it's to help us beat YouTube's new algorithm or whether it's just to be recommended if someone searches for one of those terms. The thing I will say with that is that basically it's worked so far. If you've noticed from the time we started coming out with content every single day, from the time we came out with content on a regular basis, our channel has been doing much, much better than it normally does. Our growth has gone from, very, very small amount of growth over a long period of time to all of a sudden now in the past, like 2-3 months, all of a sudden now we're gaining subscribers almost every day. Now we're gaining subscribers all the time. And I want that for the channel. The more subscribers we can get, the more content we can get to you guys, the more better content we can get eventually on the channel. Basically, we've already had some companies reach out to us asking to sponsor some episodes for season 6, and that's because you guys have hit the subscribe button to get us to 100 subscribers. That's because of you guys, and I mean this sincerely. I thank you so much for that. So basically, I want as big of a number down there in the subscription box as possible, because the more we have there, the more advertisers like us, and the more, hopefully, the more money that can be brought in to the channel so it can be reinvested in the channel. So hopefully one day you're going to see a lot more content, a lot more regularly, a lot more lengthier content, a lot bigger builds on the channel, where we can just basically build something just for the channel, and not necessarily because, like, I know the taco cart that I just built and we made an episode on for season 6, that's something where I needed it for my business, but in the future I'm hoping to have maybe a build or something like that where it's just to show you guys how to build it. It's not necessarily for my company. I don't really need it in the world of what I do, but I want to build it so you guys know how to make it. So all I can say is I hope you can stick with us during this growth process. We're a very small channel on YouTube, so I'm just trying to help my channel out by making that daily content. I have looked into YouTube SEO. We use SEO all the time for not just the website, but for YouTube. We haven't, our channel itself doesn't have a Instagram or Twitter, but we have a company Instagram and Twitter where we are putting growth on there as well. If you guys want, I'm going to probably, after the live stream tonight, I'm going to put the links to our Instagram and Twitter, as well as our Facebook, which is the majority of, I use Facebook a lot more than I use Instagram or Twitter. So that way you guys can connect with us that way. But it's the company Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook accounts for Matt Haslam Productions, which is the company which owns this YouTube channel. So I have put a lot of time and effort into growing those social media networks. The intro video on your other channel is dope. I don't know. So, like, I have multiple channels. I'm not sure which channel you're talking about. Probably the MHP channel. And we basically use the same intro for this channel as some of the videos on that channel. So, which is, if I can get to it here, I will actually show you this one right here. This intro sequence was done basically by finding a clip of, you can see, I found a clip of a sound mixer, you know, I found a clip of a whole bunch of things, so that a mixer, a lighting, I found a clip of myself performing, a time lapse for photography stuff, and a clip of a train, which I really liked, that I shot way back in 2012 or something like that. So these are all clips which I found specific for the video, lighting, audio, music, and photography fields, which we cover on the show, and I just put titles over them. And so I probably will do an episode in Season 6 covering how to make that intro, but we're probably going to do a new intro for Season 6. So I'm probably going to do an episode on how to make that, and it's going to be really cool. So, but I appreciate your comment, and I definitely take it into consideration. I know daily videos might be annoying for you guys, but YouTube loves them, and it's the way our channel's going to grow, and hopefully make it to the point where, you know, we can have a lot bigger and a lot better content for you guys in the long run. So stick with us through this, and I promise eventually it'll all get better. But some people are commenting and liking the new daily videos. So, you know, while one person says I like it, the other person says I don't like it, so I don't genuinely know what to do. I know it helps the channel, so I have to stay with it until it helps the channel and until it grows us to a point where I don't need to do that anymore. Next question comes in from, speaking of which, our Magnus VT 3000 tripod review video. Comes in from Donald McLay. Sorry. I'm bad with last names, buddy. Sorry. So, a strong breeze or running dog will topple a light tripod outside. The sliding plate is to balance the camera load. This head probably has a counterspring movement to halt a rapid forward or backward tilt. Thanks for the closer look at the Magnus. Well, you're welcome. So I completely agree with you. A strong breeze or running dog or a million different things will topple a light tripod outside. The VT3000 is, in the professional industry, a lighter duty tripod. In the world of tripod, it is not a light tripod. It's quite heavy, but in professional world, it's light duty. There's a difference there. It is actually kind of heavy to pick up and move physical weight wise, but you know, and I work at a television station where we use these $5,000-$6,000 tripods that, you know, can support massive cameras, and it's really good to use them for that kind of work, but they're really overkill for the camera sizes that we use here at my company. So for something like that, a lighter duty tripod, which I believe the Magnus supports anywhere between like 10 and 15 pounds or something like that, we can put our, where's it at? Where's the camera rig? We can put this camera rig, it's like a weight on the back, and we can put this on the tripod no problem, and control however we need. Of course, there's cameras, there's microphones, everything still has to go on here, but this is the actual support rig for it. But it works perfect for what we need it to, and we have a couple of them just so that we can have a couple of them and use them for all of our cameras. We have quite a few cameras nowadays, so I haven't reached out to the Magnus people to figure out if it has the counter spring like you're talking about. I don't know for sure. I'm not going to say yes or no on that. I know some tripods do have that. Some light uh, some lightweight cameras in the non-professional industry don't have any spring at all. Some of the bigger, hefty-duty tripods that we use at a television station, I don't know if they have. I believe they have like some shock absorbers and springs in them, so they're really advanced. The Magnus Beatty 3000, I'm not sure what's inside of it. I've never opened it to see because I don't want to break it, obviously. But I would have to reach out to them to see if it actually does have a counter spring inside of it. But it does do a really good job at halting that movement, either forward or back, just so you have a smooth movement. That's why it's called a fluid head, and it works really, really well. Cannot recommend that tripod enough. Sorry. Next question. There's a lot of graphics for this show. If you haven't noticed, there's a ton of graphics that we have to go through, and like I have a list over here on the screen over here, and it's very small text for how far away we are. Next question or comment comes in from one of the daily videos that we came out with called Blooper, and comes in from Sloth Productions Bloop. Now I'm not sure, like we answer every comment and question on the show, and this proves it right here. Proves it. So I'm not sure if you mean, is a blooper called a bloop, or are you saying like, oh, it can also mean a bloop? Yes, in the professional industry, you will hear a bunch of different terms for the same exact things. In many of the videos that you're going to see daily content coming out, we go over multitudes of terms that mean the same exact thing. I'm trying to think of one offhand. I think in the blooper one, we actually do call it a bloop, but it's funny what some things are called, and it's just the way the industry is. Like, there's one coming up called poop. They literally called something in the industry poop. I don't know why. And for some reason, it doesn't mean what you think it means. It means, like, if I remember correctly, it means that the amount of light, the amount of power a light has, or something like that. I'd have to check the video. But, like, it's crazy what some things mean. Like platypus. Like, who decide and cheeseburger and cartiling, like, who comes up with these names? Really, it's just so stupid sometimes. Next question or comment comes in from our email. So if you are not aware, you can also send us questions in through our email address. You can go to mhnews.info still. Next year we'll be changing that website domain, but right now you can still go to mhnews.info or matthasmproductions.com/blog, and you'll get to our website where you'll see all of the episodes there, an archive of all the episodes, learn more about the host, which is me, learn more about the team, learn more about where the show is heading and all of our goals and our missions and why we started it, all that kind of good stuff. But also on there, you'll be able to submit questions to our email, which is linked right on that page. I will pull it up just so I don't get it wrong, because I've gotten it wrong before. And people have commented, hey, Matt, you got it wrong. You got your own email address wrong. So, yeah. Oh, okay. So basically on there, you'll also be able to donate to the show and give us any feedback right through the website, which is really, really cool. And a lot of people like that way of doing things right on the website where you can see all of the content. And I'm actually going to take this off of here really quick because I want you to concentrate on the emails. Um, so, like I said, you can go to the website right now and you can email us all your questions, which is really cool. Oh, it's question. Oh, that was pretty simple. I should have known that off the top of my head. Questions at mhnews.info, where you can submit all your questions to our email inbox to let us know any questions that you might have for the show. This question comes in from our email from an anonymous person. Like I said, you don't have to, when you're submitting an email, you don't have to give us your name because what if you just have a question and you don't want your name read on the show or your email? We won't read your email address on the show, I promise, because that's a private thing. If you want your name read on the show, you can say like sincerely whoever, but if you don't want your name read on the show, that's fine too. This person says, "How did you film the Halloween parades this year and how did you decide which ones to film?" So, I actually left a comment on a video by Griffin Hammond. He does a podcast called Hey Film, which is a really good podcast. I highly recommend listening to it. I listen to it on my way to work every week. It's just so good, and it teaches you so much. And you can submit questions to the show. And one of the questions I asked him was, him and Nick Bodemer, who's the co-host of the show, I asked them, how would you guys film a Halloween parade? I told them kind of like what my setup was hopefully going to be, and I said, I'm going to use a light stand to put a GoPro 8 feet in the air, and Griffin right away said, "Oh well, I don't know if I'd use a heavy light stand like a C stand because that's going to be really heavy to hold all night long." And I'm like, "What?" I'm not going to hold the light stand. I'm using a light stand like on the ground, and then it's going to like go up in the air. Like, I'm not going to hold it. Why would I hold the light stand all night? That's really stupid. That's why you have a light stand, so you don't have to hold things. But so what we did in order to film all the parades this year, we had one of our Magnus VT 3000 tripods. We had a Canon T5i with an 18 to 55 millimeter lens on it, which is actually the camera I'm using for this show right now. So the reason why I chose 18 to 55, I tried a 55 to 250 and 100 to 300 lens, some of that. So like basically when you're filming a parade, a lot of things are far away, and then all of a sudden, you have to like follow it until it's like right in front of you. And when it's in front of you, you need as wide of an angle as lens as you can get, without doing a fisheye effect. So I went with the 18 to 55 because it gave me the 55 millimeters to get a little bit down the road to follow them coming towards me, and then it gave me the 18 millimeters to film them when they're right in front of me. It really, it performed a lot better than I thought it would. Canons aren't really well known for doing really well in low light, like the Canon T5i line. Other higher end cameras of Canon are known for doing well in low light, but the T5i line isn't really. So I was really afraid of that. But last year we filmed one parade, and it did really well, so I decided to do multitudes of parades this year because I love me some parades, and I love seeing the same floats 5 times. But not really. After a couple, it gets kind of boring. But people love seeing the parades, so that's why I do them. So this year I decided I'm going to do 18 to 55 on it, and then on top of that I had a Zoom H4n audio recorder because last year I recorded the audio on a GoPro Hero 5 Black Edition, and it was good audio. It just was quieter than I had to get for the broadcast, so I had to bring it up in post and I had to do all this editing. And so this year I decided I'm just going to bring a Zoom H4n and synchronize all the footage later, and that's how it's going to go, because I love the audio the Zoom H4n gets. I tried it without a microphone attached to it, and it worked. It's just because I had it actually on a cold shoe of the camera on the rig that you just saw, whenever you turn the lens, it actually made this really weird sound in the microphones that were on board Zoom H4n, and so I decided I'm going to do an external microphone on it, and so I had a Samson CO2 microphone on the rig. Actually, I had the T5i right here, Zoom H4n, and then up here I had a little tiny tabletop mic stand adapter thing. It was right here, zip tied onto here, this bar, and then the microphone was out here. Samson CO2 cardioid microphone. That needs phantom power, which sucks because we didn't have power anywhere we went, and so we had that right here. And I also had my, if I know where it is, no I don't. I had an iPod Touch 6th generation attached here with a cell phone to a tripod adapter, and that was attached to the rig up here. That way I can see a little monitor, which was a wireless monitor to my GoPro Hero 5, and that way I can see, my Canon view and my GoPro view without looking too far away from each other, and that way I always know what's on both cameras. I also had a second handle here just so I can use this as a handheld rig at the last minute, as you guys can see. No, you can't. I just detach that and bring it up here, and it turns into a handheld rig. But I wanted this rig to be a central unit, so everything was basically on one whole rig, just because when you're at a parade you don't want to spend hours setting up. So I had everything on this rig all ready to go, all wired up. And then I realized like parades are about an hour and a half long each, and the Canon batteries, the regular batteries that come with it, the LP-E8 batteries, they last about an hour each. And so without switching the batteries in the camera, I didn't want to do that, so I needed external power. And then the Zoom H4n is the same way. The batteries in that, the AA batteries, last about a half an hour. They last about an hour if you're recording with the onboard microphones, but if you're providing phantom power to multiple other microphones that are external, then it only lasts about a half an hour. And so I needed 3 times that for the parades we were doing. And so I knew I needed external power for both of those, and I knew I needed external power for the iPod Touch monitor and the GoPro, because the GoPro only lasts about an hour with a full battery life when you're recording 4K footage. So I decided to get a couple battery packs, which you can do this in multiple ways for cameras, but I decided to do everything where it's USB connected. So I bought quite a few of these battery packs, which are USB smart ports battery packs, dual on each of them. But these things are about $12 a piece, which is really cheap for a battery pack. And this is a 10,000 milliamp battery pack. Here's the really issue that you need to look at. I looked at the camera batteries, the LP-E8, and they had the same exact output as this battery has, and the Zoom H4n had the specs of it required, the same voltage this thing provides. So if you don't have a Canon T5i, look at these and make sure they're the right voltage coming out of them to make sure everything you have is compatible, because you don't want to have a battery pack that doesn't provide the necessary or the exact voltage that your camera or your audio recorder needs. But for mine, it worked fine. And so I plugged I got an adapter for the Canon T5i. I got an adapter for the Zoom H4n. I think the adapters cost me like $12 total for both of those. Really, really good price for everything like that. And that way I was able to power literally everything in my rig by these battery packs. So I had a couple of these battery packs velcroed on the back of this rig. So I bought some like $10 of Velcro and put some gaff tape on these so I can mark each one with its number. But then I put some Velcro on the back of this. I simply do that kind of thing. And now I have battery packs attached one next to the other. And I plugged the Canon T5i into one, the Zoom H4n into another one of these battery packs, and the GoPro into another, and the iPod Touch into another. And that way each and every part of the rig had its own battery pack. And I tested everything time and time again before we shot our first parade this year, and the rig lasted about 5 hours, which is really good. Recording at the highest frame rates and highest resolutions that I could get out of every single item. So that's really good. Parade's only about an hour and a half, and it lasted 5 hours. The problem became that basically the SD cards in the Canon T5i, when you're recording at the highest rates, a 64 gigabyte card only lasts 3 hours. And when you're recording highest rates on a GoPro Hero 5 Black Edition, SD card only lasts about 2 hours. And so now my only limitation is the SD cards I'm using before I have to go in and put a new SD card in and take the old one out. So basically I knew, hey, I have at least 2 hours of footage on everything. Let me just go with that. And that's how we recorded all of these parades this year with this rig. And really, I think the upgrades to the rig cost a total of like $50, which isn't all that bad. Like $70, which isn't all that bad. But here's the thing, I can use those upgrades for a multitude of things later on. If I'm without power on a long production day, I can use that same rig. I can use the battery packs and just go for 5 hours without any problems. I can use a handheld rig without switching, because whenever I film an event, I always have like handheld rigs around the whole auditorium or the stadium that we're at, and I'm always having a problem every hour switching out battery packs, batteries in the Canon T5i, switching out batteries in the Zoom H4n, and so now I have batteries that will last me the entire event, no problem. And I just come home, recharge those big battery packs, and now I'm fine. I also have a way to immediately back up everything, so in case the power goes out in a auditorium or somewhere we're at, well, now I'm running my power for everything through these battery packs, and then that battery pack is being constantly on charge from the an AC adapter, AC to USB adapter. So basically, I'm constantly charging those battery packs, but if the power goes out and we blow a circuit, well, now my camera's still on and my Zoom H4n is still on. And so I can save the clips that I'm currently recording, and that way that footage isn't lost. Or I can quickly unplug and take it off the tripod and move somewhere really quick, and I don't have to worry about having to stop record and start record again once I'm on a battery pack. It's so much easier. But how did we decide which parades to actually film? We went into all the schedules for all the parades in the area. I was filming a couple parades for the television station I work for, and so I knew on those days I can't record my own stuff. And then other company work I was doing at the time, I couldn't record on those days. But there were 5 different days which I was actually free for. And the St. Clair Parade, we decided to film that because first off, it's a very, very popular parade, and a lot of people go to it. That's the most popular Halloween parade in Schuylkill County right now. And so I knew it would get a lot of viewership. I knew it would do well, and so I knew, hey, we're gonna film this. And also, my nephew was in the parade this year for the first time, so it was even more of a thing of like, hey, I'm there to film the whole thing, but hey, my nephew just happens to be in it. So I was kind of like, we're definitely filming the St. Clair Halloween parade this year. Luckily for that, I was able to get on top of the judges' trailer, which is another thing. When you're dealing with a parade, you're dealing with a lot of kids running around trying to get candy. You're dealing with a lot of different people around, and so I always try to get up as high as possible. Um, there's a reason why the rig was on the tripod at the highest level the tripod can go, and then the rig got it up even higher. That way, the camera's up as high as possible, the microphone's up as high as possible. We also had a light stand right by, which got 8 feet in the air. That way, the GoPro can get 8 feet in the air. And I had a USB adapter for the GoPro to charge it. And if you're not aware, that charging cable can also be used to power your camera, even when you don't, even when you have a dead battery in the camera, you can still have it running by using that USB adapter, plugging it directly into a wall or a battery pack. So that's how we use them. I also had a battery inside of the GoPro just in case the battery pack here failed. For some reason, I still had about an hour to fix it before the GoPro died on me, and that was generally pretty good. And I just had like a USB extension cable that ran between the light stand and the tripod that my camera was on with all the battery packs behind it. And that way I can also see how much battery life was still left on the battery by hitting the button, seeing the blue light stuff. This one's actually dead right now, but normally you'd be able to see that. So I ended up, after all the parades, having to recharge the batteries about 25%, which isn't really all that bad. But that's how we filmed all the parades this year. Like I said, I wanted to get up as high as possible, so at all of the parades, I asked if I can go in the trailer with the judges, and that way I can get the best angles for the audience, because I wanted to get over top of all the kids that were in the audience. Then we decided to film the Hamburg parade because that's the most popular parade in, I believe it's Berks County. Not 100% on that, don't quote me. But that's the most popular parade down that area. And so I knew, hey, we want to film that as well. That is a really popular parade. St. Clair's a really popular parade. Pine Grove isn't as popular as either of the other two, but it's a really big parade, and it was on a day I was free, so I was like, let's film that. And then the very next day was Tremont, which is nowhere as big as any of the other ones we filmed, but it was still a really good parade, and it was actually really close to where our main office is. Basically, distance is a thing when you're dealing with productions that we're being an executive producer on. Because I'm the one paying for the production to happen, I don't want to travel 4 or 5 hours to go get a parade. I want to travel maybe 20, 30 minutes most. So Hamburg was like on these outer edges of what I was willing to do, to be an EP on the project and actually produce the film for it. We wanted as much viewership on these as possible because the whole reason why we decided to film the Halloween parades this year was because basically, think about who's in the parade. It's a whole bunch of like bands, a whole bunch of businesses, a whole bunch of politicians, you name it, they're all in the parade. Like fire trucks, we work for a lot of fire companies, and we work for a lot of different bands and businesses. So we want to film them as much as possible, and we want to support the local community we're in, provide some community interaction, and provide quality community content, and that helps us get business in the end. So it was well worth doing. Plus, we sold DVDs on the side, which actually ended up paying for the whole production to be possible. We didn't make a profit, but we at least got our money back on and broke even. So, it's really good because like now we're November 5th, so it's about a week after our final Halloween parade, and we're still getting plenty of viewership. We're still getting ad revenue from those videos. We're still getting DVD sales. So right now, being breaking even on those is good because we sell a couple more, and now we're making a profit. So it is a profitable venture for us, but it's mostly to provide quality community content. That way, we can be a part of the community more than just a film company that hides on the sidelines and does nothing. Um, the communities we go to, there's other film companies there that are in those towns, but we're there filming it, and we get the viewership on our YouTube channel. Suddenly now someone goes, "Hey, we're thinking about having a wedding. We're thinking about having a videographer. Who can do it? Oh, do you remember that film company that did the Halloween parade? They did a really good job. Hey, next thing you know, guess who's hired?" So we wanted as much viewership as possible on those. We ended up, and I should give you the stats here. We ended up getting, get to my other YouTube channel. Yeah, we ended up getting 70, 687, 172, 66, 294. So we ended up getting a lot of views, well over 2,000 views on this. And that translates into obviously money, ad revenue, but it also translates into just getting us out in the community. And we decided not to do the same day. I'll give you this little excerpt. On our website, on our blog post, you can see all the local Halloween parades, when they are, what times, and where they're at. But this year we decided the Hamburg, PA parade, which is the King Frost 54th annual parade this year, was on the same day as the Minersville Halloween parade, which Minersville is where the town where my company is actually headquartered. And so I decided, hey, Minersville's not that big of a town. Hamburg is a bigger town, and Hamburg's parade is a million times more popular. So which one are we going to produce? They're both at the same exact time, and I only have so many people. Where on a bigger production, I can hire people because I'm executive producer on this, and I'm trying to keep my costs as low as possible. I have to now be the one to say I'm only going to produce one because I can't afford to hire another videographer to go out there and film it for us. So I had to decide which one of those two am I going to produce, and it just came down to which one is more popular. Even though Minersville would have been probably like 2-3 minute drive for me, and Hamburg was a 40-minute drive for me, I knew Hamburg was 10 times more popular, so I knew that's one we had to produce. So that's how I decided which ones to film, why we filmed them in the first place, and how we actually filmed them. Just 2 cameras and 1 audio recorder with 2 microphones. One was actually on the camera rig itself. That way I'm getting direct microphone wherever I'm aiming. And then the other microphone was run on, like St. Clair, it was run to go right in front of the speaker that the announcer was talking on. That way we got the best microphone, best audio possible. Even though it wasn't great, we still get as good of audio as we could possibly get on those. We also had a microphone on the Tremont one. It was aimed directly at one of their speakers for the announcer. And see, that way I don't need an announcer there talking on air like a television station would. I have the audio directly from the microphone that they're actually talking on during the parade. I typically go in the same area that the announcers are in and the judges stand is in, because I want to get on top of the judges stand with the judges by asking nicely and being a good person. And I want to be there next to them, that way that when they're announcing, I already have the audio. And generally the area that the judges are in is well lit during the entire parade. so I also get really good lighting for my cameras to use. And that way you can actually see what's in front of you. I also like the fact that um, right after the parade is over, I'll talk to the announcer and I'll say to him or her, hey, what's your name? Because I want to put it in the credits because your audio is in here now. And I also asked him or her, hey, do you mind if I take a quick picture of the lineup that you read off during the entire parade? A couple of them, two of them this year, gave me the entire lineup and said, we don't need the papers anymore. Here you go. I don't need, all I'm going to do with them is throw them away, so you might as well take them with you. And that way I can literally sit here in the office and do all my graphics overnight um, and have everything ready. Or the other two that we did this year, we had to take a picture of it on my phone, and then I just used that as my lineup for all my graphics. Right after the parade was over, come back to the office, import all the footage, synchronize it all, and depluralize. While I'm doing that, I'm doing all the graphics in Premiere, which I had I had a pre-made graphic ready for everything, and I put it in the essential graphics panel in Premiere. That way I can just drag and drop, and then type in the whatever name I needed to put in there, and boom, now I have a graphic for that float or that band or that fire truck, whatever it happened to be. So it was really quite easy, and then once I imported all the footage, I just did a multicam thing on it, did a couple effects to the audio to make it sound a little more clean, but for the most part, during the actual broadcast, during the actual recording, I was wearing headphones so I can monitor the audio, and I can mix it all live right inside of the Zoom H4n. So I knew, hey, this is already pre-mixed for me during the actual recording, so I don't need to sit here and mix it in post-production. Everything this year was done so that way we can get the broadcast out as fast as possible. I think the Hamburg parade took about 24 hours to put out because I was tired afterwards and I wanted to go to sleep, and literally that was the only reason. Every other broadcast was out within 4 or 5 hours of the actual event. So it was really fast coming back to the office and getting everything out. Next question comes into us from our Facebook, which is, I believe, facebook.com/user/VLAMP how-to show or something like that. I will link that in the description below after the broadcast is over. Actually, it might be there already. I might already have it for you guys, which would be odd. No, I don't. But I will add it. Comes in from Ridpath. How do you compete with, quote, the family friend who shoots video? So irritating when someone won't book because Uncle John may want to film it. I don't really worry about that. When you're just starting out, you're going to have problems competing against that, and you're going to have problems with everyone and their mother has a cell phone nowadays. So you're going to have companies out you have companies out there who will send 5 iPhones out to you, and 5 different family members record it on their cell phones, and that is how it's and then you send the iPhones back and they edit the video for you. It sucks. It absolutely sucks. Not only to compete with them, but the video quality that they have absolutely sucks. But you just deal with it. Really, I would say, excuse me, try not to go after that market. I can't say too much without getting too business-like, and I don't get too much into the business stuff on the broadcast because I reserve that for the books and the actual consulting part. But what I will say is that if you know your quality of content is better than Uncle John or a family friend or a son or daughter who wants to film something, don't worry about Uncle John. Don't worry about him or her. Don't worry about the family friend. Go in there as a videographer and say, hey, this is what I do for a living. I film things. Uncle John may want to film it, and that's absolutely fine. What I always do is I welcome it. So I say to people who mention stuff like this that hire me, right? I have my price, and I'm sorry, I'm not going to go below that because I know what I'm worth. But if your family friend wants to record this as well, they are more than welcome to. After the whole thing is over, I ask them, can you please send me a copy of all of your footage? Or if they have a camera that I know has an SD card or something like that, I'll ask them right after the wedding, hey, do you mind coming to the production truck really quick and I'm going to copy your SD card? I'm not going to try to credit myself with your footage that you captured. I'm going to credit you where credit is due, but I want as much as possible. On a wedding, things happen all over the place and it's once in a lifetime moments. So even as many cameras as we have here at my company, which is 10, a lot of videographers don't have nearly that many cameras, but even we are at a point where we don't have cameras everywhere all the time. And so if someone captures something on a cell phone, hey, they captured it. It's more important that they captured it than the quality. And so sometimes I welcome it into the edit and I welcome using it. But as far as competing with them, honestly, if they start saying that too much and try to say, well, either you come down in price or we're going to just have Uncle John film our wedding. Fine, then have Uncle John film your wedding. It's not going to be as good, but you're welcome to use Uncle John. If a family friend wants to film it, they're more than welcome to. I've had things before where there's an upcoming nephew or someone like that in the wedding party that wants to film it, and they want to film it for just to do something where they learn how to do it, and it's maybe their first or second time, and they just want to learn. So I say to them, hey, hire me to film it. I'm going to film it my way, and I'm going to film your entire wedding. But if you want your cousin to film it as well so that he has something for his reel, he's more than welcome to set up right beside me. Whatever. Just know that I have precedence over wherever I want to place my cameras. I'm going to place them there. And if his camera's on the way, I'm going to ask him to move them. I have precedence all the time. I've worked with other videographers before where we share footage and it's not so important, but whenever I'm working with a thing of I'm hired to do the job and someone's doing it, some cousin is there for free, hey, I have precedence because I'm here and it's my job. So basically, it is irritating at times, but I always look at it as an opportunity to welcome things and be nice about it instead of saying, hey, goodbye. I say, you're welcome to incorporate it, but if it becomes an annoying issue, then fine, move on to your next client. Not every client is right for everyone. So that's what I would say. And next question comes in from Facebook. From Alex Ramey. In your contract, what do you guys put for re-edit? Changes, how many times can they ask for changes, etc.? Well, without actually showing my contract on the air, which I don't want to do, basically, we're in a creative industry, all of us. Everyone here watching, my company included, we're in a very creative industry. And so, sorry, camera's weird again. So what I always do is I always say, hey, after I give you the first edit of something, it honestly, this depends on what project it is, how big of a budget it is, a million different things. But if they want a 24-hour edit, like the Halloween parades, we were executive producers on that, so really we have final say in how it goes out. No one has to approve of it before it gets broadcasted because I'm the EP on it. I'm editing it. I'm seeing how it looks like before it goes out. So I have to approve of it, but I'm making it. So it's different there. For 24-hour edits where a client is involved and paying us to do a 24-hour edit, they don't have so much say. They're shown it, but they only have so many hours to actually watch the entire thing and approve of it or make any changes before it actually does have to go out, no matter what. So if they don't look at it and they don't approve of it, it goes out. Sorry, you paid for a 24-hour edit, and you told us with that kind of a contract, there's a clause in there that says, hey, 24 hours from now, from event time, it goes out no matter if you approved of it or not. So that's what you're paying for. You're paying for it going out 24 hours from now. If it's another type of project, which a majority of the projects we do are, then we send the client the edit, and they have one opportunity to say to us, hey, we want this and this and this changed. No matter what they want changed, they have one opportunity to do it before it starts costing them more. So they'll tell us, 99% of them say to us, hey, everything's perfect, move on. 1% of them say, hey, we have these couple little changes we'd like to make. Sometimes it's something as simple as, well, Caitlin is spelled with a Y, not an L, not an I or something like that, like you had it in the graphics. Sometimes it's very, very simple stuff where I just mistakenly hit Y, or, I didn't really know how to spell their name or something. It's something very, very simple. Other times it's, I'd like a wider shot used here instead of a close-up. Again, pretty simple stuff. But then you have the occasional customer who says, I don't like anything of this. I want everything changed, which is absolutely fine with me. Because again, I'm saying to them, hey, this is a creative industry. I realize not everyone's going to be 100% happy all the time with my first edit I give you. Sometimes you're going to have a little difference of creative differences there. So I say to them, hey, tell me what you want. You have one opportunity to tell me anything you want changed, including the entire thing if you want. And occasionally I'll have a customer say that, but 99% of the customers say everything's perfect the first time. So that one customer in a million, hey, it doesn't really matter. The one customer in a million who wants everything changed, I'm not really upset with, because there were 99 other customers who said everything was perfect. So that's the mentality I look at it in. Then after that, I say to them, in the contract, this has to be very clearly defined in your contract. I also talk with the customers beforehand and explain this to them. And when I make all the changes they want made, and I send them the re-edited version, which is now called the second draft, I send them an email saying, hey, your video was re-edited. Just as a simple reminder, any changes from here on will start costing you more money and start costing you hourly. So I put in there my hourly rate for editing, and I say, from now on, if there's any more changes, you will be charged X number of dollars per hour to re-edit this thing. So if there's another graphic you forgot to tell me about the first time, well, then you're going to be charged hourly for making that change. And sometimes it's very simple and it's only like a quarter hour or something. Sometimes it's something very difficult and it takes a multitude of hours to do. I've had customers where it's gone beyond that point and literally goes into the hundreds of edits range, and I've had 4 or 5 years working on a project that still isn't out. And there has to be that cutoff point of saying, hey, my initial price covered this many hours, right? My initial price that I quoted you with covered doing the video and spending this many hours editing it. After that is gone, I'll spend a couple hours re-editing, because maybe I misspelled something, maybe it was my fault, maybe I just had a little bit of different creative look than you thought was going to be in the video, so I will spend the time to do that the first time. But beyond that, there has to be that cutoff point where if you don't tell me that first time, hey, now it's it's your fault why this is going on from here. I've had people who say to me, hey, I want this changed, and then literally come back to me the very next time and say, okay, I don't want that changed anymore, change it back. Well, you told me to change it, so I changed it, and I took that time out of my own schedule to change it. So now you have to pay for me to change it back. That's only fair. And a lot of people understand that. I've occasionally run into the person who doesn't understand, and I have to explain it to them. But I say to them, honestly, if this was you, what would you do? And they all come back and say, hey, I would charge more. So they understand. And I always tell people, hey, 99% of people are happy with my first edit. So probably not going to happen, but I have to put it in the contract. I have to explain it to you very clearly. I have to put it in my email saying, hey, if you want any more changes, by the way, it's going to start charging you more. I have to do that. I have to tell them, and I have to warn them, because otherwise I'm at fault and I couldn't charge them more. And I'm now on the hook for all that time. So I always say to them, there's no limit to how many times you can change things, but after that first initial time, you start being charged more for it. It's only fair, because I'm not going to spend years on a project and only get paid my initial amount. Or, I mean, if the project was supposed to take years, then fine, but if the project's only supposed to take a week and I spend years on it, there's going to be a little price difference there. So, just so everyone's aware in the project. And having, like I said in a previous video, contracts and copyright information, all that kind of stuff has to be very clearly defined in your contract, signed off by both parties. Just write it down, and you'll be fine. Next question comes from Facebook Paul Quack. For those who have changed their business name, what are some pros and cons? Okay, well, let me think about that for a second. So, here at Madhouse Productions, we have changed our name a couple times, because we learn what works and what doesn't. Even at the show VLAMP, we changed our name to VLAMP from when we started the show. It was called Stage Life University, and I didn't really like the whole thing of having a university name, even though because we weren't a real university. So I wanted to change it to something more about what we were doing, but not university behind it, because I don't want to get into a situation like Trump University did. Not to like call out anything, but like that's a serious thing. We don't want to get a fraudulent charge against us for false advertising. So we changed it to MH News because we were doing some news stuff at the time. And now that the news division of Manhattan Productions has like separated, and we have made that into the business side of things, we wanted MH News to go with that side of things. And so we had to come up with a new name called VLAMP because it stood for everything that we talk about on the show. So we've even gone through some name changes on the show. Manhattan Productions has gone through quite a few name changes over the years. Initially, we were called Stage Life Band, and then basically I said to myself, like, hey, I'm still a single performer going on the road, and there's no band behind me, so why do I call it that? And so we changed it to Matt Haslam and Gang, and that like kind of stood for all the crew members that were with me. There was no band, but there was a crew at least that went with me everywhere I went. And then I'm like, well, Gang doesn't have the right connotation to a country music singer-songwriter. It has more of a rap style name to it, so I don't want that either. Years after that name came out, I just went to matthaslam.com, which was the name of the company back then, and we started having a website and having everything, and then having merchandise with my name all over it, my face all over it, and then went to a system where we changed our name again to think there was another name in between that one and the next one. And then we finally had MHPA, which stood for Matt Haslam Production Assistance, which a lot of people just took it as Matt Haslam, Pennsylvania, because PA also stands for Pennsylvania, and didn't really understand it too much. We had an old logo which had a bunch of different like swirls underneath the MHPA, and then just described audio, lighting, and video. It was like, that really isn't our brand. That isn't who we are as a company. And so we wanted a logo that reflected more of what we do than little curls and flowers did. So we changed it again to Matt Haslam Productions, to just MHP. And we dropped the A from the whole thing. And that way we got away from people thinking it's Matt Haslam, Pennsylvania. And so we changed it to MHP, came up with a new logo for the company, which is our current logo for the company, with a video camera in it, with a description of everything we do underneath it. And now that's our main logo that we use everywhere. And I think it's a really good logo because it describes, hey, this is what we do. Right up front, it describes our biggest brand of the company, which is our video portion of the company. We want to make that up in front, that we're a video company first now. Back in the day, we were a performer first company, but now we're a video first company. And we changed our name. I'm trying to think here. Stage Life, Matt Haslam and Gang, matthaslam.com. There's another one, and then there was MHPA, now MHP. So we changed our name 6 times. We've had 6 names in our history of the company, and that's difficult to go through. Some of the cons are that we've had to go through a lot of expenses on that. We've had to get new business cards, we're very lucky in the fact that we do graphic design internally, so we were able to come up with the new logos and all of the graphics for all the business cards, the signage on the side of our truck, everything. We were able to do all that in-house. But it still took a lot of money and effort to produce and get how many business cards made up every time we changed our name. We also dropped entire branches of our company over the years, and we no longer do DJ services in-house, and so we had to drop that from our business cards. And so over the years, we've changed our business cards numerous of times. We've had our current business card, which I'll actually show you because I should have one here somewhere. I should have one. If I don't, I really, really do apologize. But if I don't have a business card on my desk, that's really weird. Anyway, yeah, so here it is. Okay. I will actually show you the entire iteration of business cards that we've had. I keep one of each just because, and the rest of them are scrap paper now. But I used to go with this one, which is just a bunch of spotlights. And that was really good for matthaslam.com. Unfortunately, it says lighting, sound, and staging, equipment, and DJ services, which is mostly, people thought we were a rental company, which we aren't. We don't rent our equipment out too often. And so people thought, hey, these people rent their equipment out. We didn't back then. And so they also thought we were DJs, and we no longer do that. So we had to get rid of that. Then there was matthaslam.com, which is this one. This was a really good design. Unfortunately, it has a huge theater on it, and people thought we were tons bigger than we actually were, and people thought we did theaters of that size. Is back when this business card was a thing. We didn't. We were a very small company back then. That was in the initial years of our company. Then we had this one, which on the one side had, if I can get it in focus here, the one side had my singer-songwriter stuff and a whole bunch of information for that and how to book me. On the other side of it had MHPA for audio, lighting, and film. And this was a good business card because it described both of the things we did. But eventually we just came up with the thing of having one brand for everything because this confused people, actually. It confused people that, well, okay, so this company is one thing, this company is another thing, and people thought we were two different companies, even though it was only one company in the end. So that got confusing for people. Then I had this one for performing just by itself, which was very actually descriptive. I wanted one business card just for performing, but then every time I handed this out to a venue, I said to myself, well, what if the venue wants audio and lighting? So I had to come up with another business card just for the audio and lighting. So eventually, well, no, this is like the first one one of the first I ever had for MattHaslam.com. Had a little truss on it, and is very basic information. Nothing on the back, but this was like made in house on like the Avery business card templates you get, and you can like print out on your own printer at home. The rest of these were all made via Vistaprint.com, which you can get like 500 business cards for like $10, which is really good. Still, it was a lot of money to keep remaking these things because we kept on changing our names. So that's a really big con of, um, like, that's a really a big disadvantage of changing your name is you're going to have all these expenses, and we had to get new signage for the side of the truck. We had to re-logo all of our ACA cases that had our logo on them. It was a nightmare. It's a lot of money to redo things. Even though we do graphic design in-house, still it's a big issue when we rebrand the whole company as something new and rename the company. Also, on top of all of our contracts, our website has to change. Um, all of our letterheads for letters have to change. Our email our email signatures have to change. A million, our Facebooks, our Instagram, everything you think of has to change when you rebrand your company, and so that's a huge disadvantage. There's a lot of time and money spent in doing that. If you don't do graphic design in house, it's going to cost you a ton of time and money to do that. The advantage for us was that we did graphic design in house, so it wasn't as expensive, but it was more time consuming. The big pro of it is that in the end we landed on what I believe to be a really good logo that's very descriptive, a really good name which is very descriptive. I think if you're building a company, you should think about your name a lot more when you initially start up. When I started, I was a 10, 11-year-old boy, and so I didn't think about a name too much. I just wanted to start doing things. And I think that was the kid in me, not looking ahead and going, what does this name mean? You know, and how am I going to brand this name in 20, 30 years? Now I'm thinking about that when I'm branding a new product that comes out. So honestly, the big advantage of renaming yourself is that you are creating a new identity. So if something bad happens in your company, a lot of companies literally file for bankruptcy and then rebrand themselves as something new. So it's as if, you know, you still have all the same people, same equipment. It's just now you have a different name. Unfortunately, no one knows that new brand, so you have to do all the marketing all over again. But in our situation, a big advantage of it was we didn't have the best name initially. Even when we had matthaslam.com, we still have the domain matthaslam.com, which you can go to and forward you to the singer-songwriter portion of our website. But that was a thing where, honestly, it was just too much of my name. And wearing apparel with your own name on it, it has its disadvantages, and it has its thing of like when you're going to school and high school, you tend to get made fun of for everything. So having apparel with your own name on it is another one of the disadvantages. For us, rebranding to something that didn't have our own name on it was much better. But then we rebranded again to Matt Haslam Productions, and I love this name. And people go, why did you put your own name in your company name? And honestly, it's because I'm proud of the productions we put out. It's my signature that it's a quality product going out the door. So that's one of the reasons. The thing about rebranding that you have to consider is that not only does it cost time and money to do, you have to do a whole bunch of new marketing for yourself, but at the same time, it's sometimes you don't know. And like when I was started this company, I was a kid. I didn't know, hey, this is where my company's going to go. I thought I was going to be a performer and just do singer songwriting things all my life. And then I grew into doing lighting and sound. I grew into doing video, and then I grew into doing photography and DJ services and drop DJ services. And so with all of these different moves, I said to myself, I can't just be matthaslam.com. I can't just be Stage Life Band because that's not, I wasn't a band. I can't be Matt Haslam and Gang because that's a totally different genre of music. I can't be matthaslam.com because now there's whole different sides of the company that weren't there before. Matthaslam.com doesn't describe lighting and sound. It doesn't describe video and photography. It doesn't describe graphic design. It doesn't describe any of this. I need a brand that encompasses everything I do. And Matt Haslam Productions was the answer to that. And that way I'm putting a signature on everything, signing off that it's a quality product going out. But I'm also saying to myself, well, Matt Haslam Productions, you don't need, as far as United States goes, you don't need a DBA, which is doing business as license. So I don't need to spend an extra couple $100 to file a DBA with the IRS and with the government saying I'm doing business as this name instead of my actual name. With Matt Haslam Productions, I'm able to say, my name and then describe what I do in one word. So you can have like John Smith's groceries. You can have John Smith's plumbing, and you have to still file as a business, but it's free, and you don't need a DBA now. So you don't need as much licensing without with using your own name. And so that's one of the reasons I decided to use my own name. But you can abbreviate that as well to MHP, and now, hey, I'm just abbreviating my company name. So honestly, there's a lot of pros to it. If you think to yourself that you think your brand would do better by using a different name, then change it. Think about it long and hard. Don't just overnight say, I want to change my name. Every time I changed my company name, I thought about it for at least a month before I did it. And it was a really good decision I made. Unfortunately, my name has changed 6 times now. But this last iteration, well, this name, MHP and Matt Haslam Productions, has been with us for a good 4 or 5 years now. So I'm really happy that we haven't changed it now. But if we added something to the company that suddenly made our entire name not work anymore, I wouldn't be afraid of changing it again. The only thing is that when I'm thinking about creating a new product line or a new service, I'm also thinking about my brand, my main brand. Maybe it's better if I come up with a new service, maybe it's better I create a second company for that service instead of trying to incorporate it into the main brand, which is doing well behind everything it stands for. Because now people know everything it stands for, and they won't necessarily think of it as that new service. So a lot of times when I come up with a new brand, I'm thinking to myself, well, do I want to make it its own company and make its own brand for it, or do I want to incorporate it into the main brand? That is exactly what happened with graphic design. Do I want to incorporate graphic design into my main company? Well, yes, I do, because a lot of what we do incorporates graphic design, so it's a feasible step for us to make, and a feasible step for our customers to understand we made. Where if suddenly we got into construction or something like that, which I don't imagine us ever doing, but if suddenly we got into construction, well, maybe Matt Haslam Productions isn't the right name for that. Maybe I would want to come up with a whole new company just for that and keep Matt Haslam Productions its own thing. So that's some things you might want to think about as you're going through and coming up with a name for your company. So that's it for all the questions tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in for our live broadcast. I would like to say if you leave a comment under this video or any other video at all on our channel or Matt Haslam Productions channel, I will answer those questions or comments in the very next live stream next month. Next month will be December's live stream, and December's live stream, I believe, will be on, let me see, hold on, December 4th, if we don't have a business meeting that day. Hopefully we don't. But December 4th at 9 p.m., we have a daily video coming out every single day at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I know some of you like it, others of you don't, but please do bear with it because it's how we grow our channel and how we make better and better content for you guys all the time. Also, we have a brand new episode coming out every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. There's a brand new episode coming out tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time that will show you 20 more films, 20 more film terms you should know, and we'll be coming out with also this month, which is really cool, Thanksgiving night. We have a very special episode coming out, which we aren't going to record until Thursday night, until Thanksgiving night, which talks about the best deals for Black Friday and Cyber Monday that you can get in the entertainment industry. So we will be coming out with that on Thanksgiving, which is November 23rd. So look forward to that video. Look forward to daily and weekly content from us, as well as our monthly live stream next month. Please do submit all of your questions because I love answering your questions live on the show. There's no room for scripting or errors or anything like that. If we make a mistake, we make a mistake. So you get honest answers during the live broadcast. So thank you everyone for tuning in to the show tonight. I highly appreciate it, and I invite you to join us again next time. Also, another really cool thing I should probably mention before I get off the live stream here is you should go over to earthlinkorigins.com. That's earth-link-origins.com, which is my friend Chris Wisniewski's new film coming out later next year. And it's a little short film that he's working on, as well as a bigger thing later on. But you can support his new campaigns. I believe his Indiegogo campaign's coming out shortly in the next couple months here that he's working with me on. So you can support the film there on his website. You can also subscribe to be a part of his mailing list so you can find out the latest news, get some really cool merchandise, and also be a part of the film and help us make it. And also, you can check out all the great content over on his YouTube channel, youtube.com/user/Burning Earth Productions. It's an amazing YouTube channel, and you really do want to subscribe. And I really love supporting the work that he does because it's incredible VFX work and awesome spaceships. And if you like Star Wars and Star Trek, you're going to love this film, Earthlink Origins. It has an amazing cast and crew. So go over there and check it out. Also, hop on over to our website, matthaslamproductions.com, and click on blog on your left-hand side of the screen, where you can find all, probably your left is over here, actually, now that I think about it. I'm doing things in reverse for you guys. But on the left-hand side of your screen, you can hit blog and see all of our episodes, the archive of episodes, learn more about the show, support the show, and donate to help us make more great content for you guys. We have a ton of stuff coming up in Season 6, which is next year, and we really, really need your help making that content. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. I hope you enjoyed all of the great answers. I hope you think they're great answers for the questions you've submitted and the comments you've submitted over the past month. Thank you so much for tuning in, and see us next time here on VLAMP Video Lighting, Audio, Music, Photography, How-To Show. I'm, of course, your host, Matt Haslam, signing off for the night. Have a great week, everyone. Bye for now.